Welcome back, Captains, to another episode of Starfleet Academy Online. I'm your host and instructor, Hale Bohse, and today we're going to be talking to you about in game resources. So, resources. Well, there are a lot of different resources that you can use to acquire things that you want in game, whether that be weapons, armor, shields, starships, or their components, anything for your ground builds. There's lots of ways to get a hold of things, and what I'd like to go over with you today is just an overview of the different types of currencies, and a couple of examples of maybe something that they could buy. So, for example, the first one I want to talk about is the in-game actual buyable currency, which is called Zen. Now, Zen is a currency that goes for roughly about $10 for like 1,000 Zen, and 1,000 Zen, it can get you a couple, a few things. It might be if you, well, actually, doesn't get you a whole lot. It can get you this R&D promo pack, but the master keys, you'd actually still have to have a little bit more. That's like $11.25 for a set of 10 master keys to open up lock boxes that you might collect out during the game as you're playing. And then another thing is that we've actually got sales going on, but tier 6 starships are actually buyable on the market for Zen, and depending upon which ship that you're actually looking for, it might be something like 3,000 Zen, which isn't that bad, but it's about like $30. Like if you equate it to the actual money, if you're paying about 1,000, or if you're paying about $10 per 1,000 Zen, you can expect it to be about $30. There are ways to earn Zen in game, but it requires using the most valuable resource in game, which is dilithium, and just converting that over on the market. But that's going to be something for another video we can talk about later. But initially, just kind of going back to Zen, there's so many different things that you can buy in Zen, and in fact, one of the services that I highly recommend that you purchase is this energy cap credit increase. You initially, I think you're capped off at like 10 or 15 million, and then unless you're a lifetime member or unless you purchase this here, and I forget exactly how much it was, but it does raise the energy credit limit to about 2 billion, which is significantly higher, and you are going to actually need to be able to store something in that range, especially if you're in the market for R&D promo ships. Getting them off the exchange, those can be pretty pricey. But going back to the Zen, as you can see, there's also some other slots that might become very useful for you. Dry dock slots, if you're getting too many ships and you can't hold any. Inventory slots are very useful. Of course, character slots and ship loadout slots. There's so many different things. Bank slots. There's so many different things you can purchase, and I really would recommend taking a look and just seeing what you might need. But that could be a whole different video just right there. So Zen is usable for purchasable things, but it can also be used in the exchange to actually acquire dilithium. And again, dilithium is one of the most important things in game, and so that's something that you may want to take advantage of later. And we'll go over the exchange system at a later time. But speaking of dilithium, dilithium is the next asset and resource that I want to talk about because it's the most valuable. Now, it's super hard to come by because you can only refine up to 8,000 dilithium ore per day. Now I know there's a couple of missions and things out there that'll help you like get more, but actually it's still that's still not that much more that you'd be able to refine. And so it's kind of a real big bear to acquire large amounts of dilithium. You can get ore all day long, but having the ability to refine it, that's it becomes kind of cumbersome. That's why the exchange is really useful in case you have some Zen and you want to just pull some dilithium, or vice versa. You can actually, if you've got an abundance of dilithium, you want to get some Zen, that's another reversible trade. So that's something you can do in the exchange, but that's an extremely valuable you know thing that you're going to need for many reasons, and some of which is going to be in order to purchase things from the fleet. A lot of times when you're buying consoles, you're buying like equipment and things that you're going to need for your ships. Dilithium is sometimes directly required. Sometimes, if you're buying a ship on the exchange, again, dilithium will be required as an additional resource to purchase that. And stuff can get really pricey, especially if you're doing like hanger pets or something. It's almost like 40,000 dilithium almost in order to get like one. Set of hanger pets. So it's just interesting. But if you look at the reputations that we're talking about that I'm showing you here, you can actually go into here and craft different like types of equipment, whether that be space or ground equipment for your tunes. And let's say, oh, I wanted to go ahead and build one of these. If you notice, it costs 7,500 dilithium, which would be the amount that you'd be able to refine in a whole day practically, to craft one of these pieces. And there's like set bonuses and set pieces that you'll get later, so those are very valuable. But it's also a way for you to donate and get lots of fleet credits online if you're donating to your holdings, because you'll notice that a lot of projects actually require dilithium. So dilithium is a very, very sought after commodity. It's needed for a lot of different aspects of the game, and it's definitely something you're going to want to hold on to. So don't just willy-nilly like throw that away. It can be used for upgrades, re-engineering. It could be used for so many things for your character that you really need to conserve that dilithium as much as you can so that you can use it for things you're going to need later. So getting off of dilithium now, I want to share with you there's some energy credits. Now energy credits are something that you're going to get like in missions. You get it from like selling or discarding items from your inventory. There's so many ways, you can actually buy and trade off the exchange, which can earn you a lot of EC like really quickly. And so EC, like it's pretty worthless. I'm not gonna lie. Like you need a lot of it to purchase something. If you want like a pretty decent tier 6 starship, like an example would be like the Intel Dreadnought, it's gonna cost you somewhere around 189 million EC to pull that off the exchange. And so as you can see, quantities of EC are really needed if you're going to make some major purchases on the exchange, and to buy and trade other things that you're going to need if you want to craft items to possibly sell on the exchange. And so that can be pretty pricey as well. So energy credits are definitely valuable, and yes, there is an exchange and you can buy so many different things that you need in game. So EC is definitely a valuable resource. You need to accumulate that as fast as possible, and we'll talk to you in future videos about how to acquire more of that more quickly. Another thing, though, that I think is pretty important to talk about is reputation marks. And reputation marks are a form of currency that's used to help you buy those pieces of equipment I was showing you earlier. So if you take a look at here, and it's like, oh yeah, okay. So each and every one of these reputations has different sets of equipment that you can purchase that all have different energy types and different, just different specs altogether, and different sets and different set bonuses, different qualities. They're good for different things and builds. So these are really good ways to getting these marks is the only way that you can actually acquire these pieces and build them out. And in order to even have the ability to build them, you have to build your reputations to get to at least tier 5, and in a lot of cases, if you want them to be at their most effective, tier 6. And so that's something that you are going to want to work on as well, but we can talk more about that later. So then the fleet assets that we were talking about, both fleet credits and fleet marks. Well, what's the difference? Well, actually, fleet credits are the things that you're going to get for donating to the fleet. So anytime you donate EC, you donate fleet marks, you donate dilithium, you donate duty officers, or like any sorts of things that you have to expertise into a project in the holdings. So I'll give you an example. So let's say, okay, I need to donate this dilithium. In doing so, I went ahead and I filled that project. Now I'm going to get more colony provisions in my inventory, and on top of that, I earned an extra 3,637 fleet credits. So that's not bad. Now I've got quite a bit there, so I got plenty to spare. But for the sake of just showing you what it is that you're getting, and the reason you're acquiring those and why you want that is because that is another form of currency that you use to directly buy from the fleet. So whenever you're buying something from the fleet, you're not using energy credits, you're using fleet credits, and that's how you purchase starships. That's how you purchase equipment or buffs or anything that you might need from the holdings. So definitely take a look at that. And if you want to know what to buy, check out our fleet holding videos that are going to be coming very soon after this video. Okay, and so next, a couple of currencies down here at the bottom, you'll notice one says gold press latinum. Okay, it's good to know about gold press latinum. To be honest with you, it's kind of a useless in-game currency. They didn't really go as far as I think they wanted to with this. You can play Dabo with it, which is kind of cool. You can buy like sunglasses or like stuff on Ryza. You can go to Ferengi Traders and you can pick up a couple of little trinkets and trophies or emotes. But really, it's just it's just like role play type stuff. It's not necessary for you to progress in game. So I just wanted to bring that up. Yeah, it's cool, but it's not 100% necessary for you to get a lot of it. So don't worry about it too much if you don't have a lot. The last one, though, or not the last one, but the other most important one is salvage. Now, salvage is important because it's something that you're going to get whenever you have something in your inventory that you don't need. So let's say that, well, I need this, but let's say for sake of argument, I wanted to salvage this. I had a piece on here that I wanted to salvage somehow. It doesn't look like I do, but here we go. Nope, nope, can't salvage any of that. So I can't salvage any of this stuff. But yeah, here's something. So I can salvage that item, but if I were to salvage it, it gives me a certain amount of salvage, and it also gives me, a couple of like R&D items or something. But that salvage is going to be crucial for you later on when we get into shipbuilding, for you to be able to re-engineer some of your items to have different modifiers and things. So that's going to be really important for you to gather up, and because we're going to have very specific modifiers depending on the type of build that you're trying to set up with. So that's something that also I think is really important to know. So salvage is going to be an important component. Try to get as much of that as possible. Anything that you get in your inventory that you just not going to use, you want to throw it away, try to salvage it first. That's first thing you should probably do. Because EC is usually pretty easy to come by, so you don't really need to to use the items for EC. But R&D is probably one of the last real resources in game that I think is important, and part of the reason for that is because this is what's going to allow you to be able to craft items, and crafting items through your R&D is going to be something like a lot of ways for you to make money, for you to craft. Used to be upgrades, but now the Phoenix box are permanent, so that's a whole nother discussion. So now what I want to talk about is one other form of currency which I forgot to mention, which is actually called Lobi crystals. Now Lobi crystals are only you can only get these by opening lock boxes. So typically you're going to have to earn a bunch of EC in order to purchase keys for like 5 million a piece on the exchange, or you can go to the Zen store, and you can pick some up as you saw earlier. You can pick up uh, a stack of 10 for like 1125 Zen. So there's a chance that you're going to get different amounts of Lobi crystals, the chance to get like tier 6 starships and stuff like that. But the Lobi crystals that you accumulate while opening these boxes, you might get 4 to 10 for a box. If you use them, you can open up a new store, and you can buy ships, you can buy crew, you can buy space gear and ground gear. There's like all kinds of little things that you're gonna probably be interested in. I'm definitely interested in several of the starships in here. This is where you might get that Kelvin timeline dreadnought, if the Intel dreadnought, if you're looking for it. and you don't want to have to pay for it, off the exchange. Otherwise, if you're gonna have to open lock boxes to get it this way. So there's a couple of ways to get it because these are actually sellable as well, which could be also a resource for you if you want in game. So take a look at some of this stuff. I know that there's a lot that I would personally use. We'll go into what recommendations I would use for it, but definitely check that store out because it's worth the look. And there's lots of great stuff in the Lobby store that you're going to want to get a hold of for your shipbuilding later. So I think that about wraps it up because I think we're getting a little long on time, but thank you so much if you've actually stayed to the end of this video. I know it was a long one. Thank you so much for bearing with me. I hope that this material was helpful for you. If I missed some form of currency that you thought was important, please mention that in the comments section below. I'd love to hear what you have to say. Thank you all so much again for tuning in. Make sure you give us that Hail Bohse, smash that like button, and until next time, boldly go.
Legends never die when the world is calling you. Can you hear them screaming out your name? Legends never die, they become a part of you.